So I finished reading this book a while ago by Alex Aaronson, which is kind of a cool book. It's an alternate history book. Mine's actually autographed. He lives local to me. He's a nice guy. The book itself is sort of a hey, what if this could really happen? And when you see those kind of alternate history books, you always kind of wonder how much work really went into it, and am I what am I getting into, right? Because, especially for more recent alternate history books, because we all kind of lived through that. This one really surprised me. It was really good. The author Alex, there's two authors, Alex and James. Alex had a lot more to do with it than James, from what I understand, but two guys involved. But Alex in particular was a Navy crypto technician, right? So he was an interpreter. He worked from starting around 92 or so as a Russian linguist. So he knows that Russia sort of that Russia kind of part of the world really well, especially in the late 80s, early 90s. That was kind of his bread and butter. So what he did with this book was he said, let's turn back the clock a little bit further than the 80s and 90s and say, let's see what happens when a Cold War threatens to go hot and American hostages are taken in Iran, which actually happened, right? So this was when Jimmy Carter was president. But let's say all that kind of went a different way, right? So the Soviets in Afghanistan, Jimmy Carter's in the United States. We've got all this political turmoil because we've got inflation running up the running up the cost of everything. We've got Jimmy Carter can't seem to get our hostages out of Iran. The CIA is kind of proven to not really be all that effective at kind of helping us. So do the Marines, sorry, do the Soviets jump on that and really say, hey, look, let's take our opportunity to kind of beat back the United States? It was probably a time when we were more vulnerable than we've been until kind of recently. But this was sort of their one chance in that time period to go do it, late 70s, kind of early 80s, before Reagan came in office. But what got me about this book was, I write action thrillers. I mean, I was in the military. I worked in defense and aerospace for a long time. I have a lot of friends have been in the military forever, and are now retired because we're all getting old. But the thing with this one was, even writing action thrillers, I can usually pick up a book, read it, and kind of figure out what's going on because I know that world really well. I've read hundreds of them. I've read maybe 1,000, maybe 500 of them or so throughout my lifetime. But this one, even with it being alternate history, I didn't really know where it was going, right? And for Alex, whose undergrad degree is in international relations, and he does have a law degree, for a lawyer to kind of for a international relations and lawyer to kind of come up with this page turning action thriller really kind of was cool, right? Because you see his real world experience kind of coming into, let's take that history and twist it, which was kind of neat. So if you're into spy thrillers, if you're into, hey, can the CIA really get in there and kind of untangle what the Soviets are doing, or does this little tiny thing like we see in the Middle East all the time, which we're seeing again, does that little tiny thing actually just turn into something global, and does a world war really kick off? This book is really one of those that you'll enjoy. I do have the sequel to it right there. I have not read the sequel yet. That is on my list of things to do. But if you get a chance, this one is on Amazon. It is well worth the time. I think it's even an Audible, so it's in hardback, and certainly I think on Kindle. I'm assuming it's in paperback as well, but I do recall seeing it in Audible format as well. So if you're into this kind of thing, into spy thrillers, with some action stuff in it, fantastic book. Check it out today. We'll see everybody on the next video, which I think on the next one, I'm probably going to go through and discuss Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy just because I can. So everybody have a good day.